everybody at home is a pretty tremendous burden to bear. That being said, just the pure vote politics of this, do you believe right now, as you speak today, that there's any chance that perhaps Joe Manchin or perhaps Kristen Sinema, senators from West Virginia and Arizona, might vote no on this bill?
Well, I doubt it in the end. There is a chance, however, that they may join us in slimming it down some, probably nowhere near as much of a slim down as the situation argues for, but any amount we can reduce the size of this is a good thing for the country, and I think there's at least a chance that one or two Democrats could join all of us and spend a little bit less.
Have you spoken with either of them?
It's still going to be wildly out of proportion to what the country needs right now.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you spoken with either of those senators or anybody that you think might be on the fence today?
Yeah, there's all kinds of conversations going on. The Democrat bill keeps changing.
Well, millions of people could be eligible for thousands of dollars in newly available stimulus funds. Right now, many to low to middle income households, everybody, can apply to receive this relief. And guys, one-time direct payments worth up to $300 will begin to go out this week. And now several states are already planning to send their tax rebates to the residents to help offset some of the impacts that people are facing. We all know that people need this money, and it's good to see people are doing this. People are getting help they need. One state will start sending out tax rebate money this month, and that state is Hawaii. Hawaiian residents could receive one-time direct checks of up to $300 as part of the state's constitutional refund that's given to each resident who files an income tax return for the previous fiscal year. And the first round of distributions is set to be received on or before September 12th. And with two additional distribution dates scheduled for September 9 and 13, according to the governor's office, those who have not filed tax returns, owed money to the government, or filed their taxes after July 31st will receive their checks 10 weeks after the Department of Taxation receives documents. The governor said in a statement, "It's my hope that the $300 million in tax refunds begins to go distributed so far, bring some relief to the hardworking people in the state of Hawaii who were hit hard by the crisis." According to the governor, the amount each person will receive as part of a refund is determined by the person's filing status, adjusted gross income, and the number of claimed exemptions. Single filers earning an annual income of under $100,000 will receive one-time checks of $300, with single taxpayers with a higher gross of income receiving $100. Married couples who file joint returns are also set to receive $300 as part of the one-time payments. In addition to the stimulus checks, Hawaiians can look forward to the state's minimum wage being raised for the first time since 2018. The bill approved by Governor Ige raises the minimum wage of $10.10 per hour to $12 an hour starting October 1st. Also, some good news for you guys that live in Indiana. They can expect to see another $200 in your bank account after Indiana lawmakers approved a second set of payments during the special session. This cash comes from the state surplus. Governor Holcomb pitched the idea of a $225 check to help Indiana residents struggling with high gas prices and inflation. In the Indiana House bill and Senate took approaches to different inflation relief checks. The House plan mirrored the governor's proposal and includes payments of $225 to residents, while the Senate plan, on the other hand, includes a proposal to... It's on the way right now, everybody. More and more fourth stimulus payments have been approved. Congress is going to take huge action this week to establish new financial assistance programs, and millions of Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and RRB beneficiaries can expect to receive new stimulus payments. States have announced their action plan to address the rising cost of living that so many people are facing. President Biden has also made announcements on how the White House plans to further lower prices for the American people.
This means taking health care to the people, often the hardest to reach and often left out, and the most medically underserved. So I urge President Biden to sign this bill into law without delay to improve health outcomes across the board and make a positive difference in people's lives. Thank you, and I yield back.
And while U.S. gas prices have come down from the highs seen this summer, they are still clearly weighing on President Biden, who today repeated demands for oil companies to charge less. During a meeting of the White House Competition Council, Joe Biden said last month, "The price of oil worldwide is down, and we haven't seen the lower prices reflected at the pump." Meanwhile, oil and gas companies are still making record profits and billions of dollars more in profit. And according to the AAA, U.S. oil futures fell 9.2% in August. Gas prices during the same month were also down, dipping to 9.2%. As Biden noted in his speech, gas prices across the country remain uneven. They are substantially higher in western states due to a lack of refining capacity. Biden to reporters, my message is simple. To the companies running gas stations and send these prices, bring down the prices you're charging at the pump to reflect the cost you pay for the product. Biden's words echo comments he made earlier this year as average U.S. gas prices surged, hitting more than $5 a gallon in June. The White House expanded considerable effort to try and reverse this trend, including massive releases of stockpiled petroleum. Gas prices have fallen since that peak by more than $1 on average, helped by the decline for international oil prices amid the impact of the crisis and speculation around the effects of a global economic slowdown. However, there are new signs that gas prices are bottoming out after they rose slightly last week. For Biden, that risks reviving gas prices as a political issue heading into the midterm elections, and around 600,000 people in Delaware have received the relief rebate checks from the state. The first round of checks went out to Delaware residents who filed a state tax return, and as many as 150,000 people are still waiting for these rebates to come. The finance secretary said that we estimate that the maximum amount left might be 150,000, and I think that's the high end, because remember, you had to be a Delaware resident on December 31st, 2021.
Chairman Merkley, Ranking Member Lummis, thank you for holding this hearing today on the Good Samaritan Remediation of Abandoned Hard Rock Mines Act. And I want to very much thank Senator Risch for your partnership and leadership on this critical issue. Across the country, old abandoned hard rock mines leak heavy metals and other pollutants into waterways every day. We've certainly seen this with the Animas River and its travails in New Mexico. These mines, which produced metals like lead and gold, iron and silver, contributed vital materials to the industrial development of our nation over the last century. In fact, both my father and grandfather worked in this industry. But in some cases, the companies that operated these mines shut down, went bankrupt, or just disappeared, leaving behind mine sites that pollute our lands and waters. We should hold responsible parties accountable for pollution. In fact, any company that has a historical, legal, or financial relationship to a closed mine is required by law today to clean up that site, and that's appropriate. But there are literally tens of thousands of abandoned hard rock mine sites that are truly abandoned. No person, no company that was involved in the operation or the ownership of the mine still exists and can be held accountable for that site. These mines are just there, year after year, in some cases polluting our water and destroying habitat for fish and wildlife. Now, one factor that keeps unrelated third parties from voluntarily cleaning up these sites